I was about to say, how do we get onto this topic?
Yeah, okay, well, as with any conversation about Super Mario, you're going to start talking about sexualization of females in media. Jesus. I had a big bowl of cereal hoping it would have woken me up right before the podcast. I had too big a bowl of cereal. That was a lot of sugar.
I think you're a little too woke right now.
Hello, my HMs and TMs. Welcome to the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode, 31? 31. I am your host, Oni Dino, and this is the #1 show listened to by Mr. Hideo Kojima himself. In fact, the inspiration for the main protagonist of his upcoming game, Death Stranding, was not Norman Reedus. It was, but the man himself, Galen.
Oni, let's have a talk here for a second. I appreciate your openings. This one was not what I was expecting.
I don't think that Death Stranding was what anybody was expecting anyway, so totally fine.
That's fair. Man, I watched, all 8 minutes of that trailer? I still have no idea what that game is about.
I read a quote where, so the meaning of stranding is about strands, as in like lines or threads that connect. Mm-hmm. So it's like a pseudo-political statement about connecting and forging relationships, or some sort of connection between town to town or people to people, and the importance of that.
I can see that being a thing.
I'm behind that. I like it.
Yeah. I have my own theory on some of the symbolism within the game, because I noticed that the object that hangs around Norman Reedus' neck.
You mean Galen? Galen's neck.
I guess my neck. Yes. It changes from time to time. Like in one scene, it was a pair of dog tags, and then in another scene, there was like a Dreamcatcher-esque necklace. And my theory is that it has something to do with the symbolism of
cultural appropriation?
Not cultural appropriation, but more of
kidding.
the character's motivations and dedication. Like, what is he submitting to himself, and what is the higher power that he is giving himself to? Is it spirituality? Is it nationalism? Is it so on and so forth? Because it's freaking Hideo Kojima. It's got to be way more complicated than anybody wants to give credit to. So
yeah, and he usually does a lot of stuff with abstract concepts, and he doesn't give like a black and white answer, which I like that. I think that is good science fiction, is where you lead a person to a pond of questions to drink the water.
Yep.
I don't know why that happened. My metaphor was weird.
Fun story. His game Metal Gear Solid 4 was actually the reason I went out and bought a PlayStation 4. PlayStation 3.
It wasn't Resident Evil 5? That was the reason I bought a PlayStation 5.
Yeah,
Resident Evil 5 came out. Imagine the disappointment.
What? Hey, you know what? For all things said, we played the crap out of that game.
It was fun to play together. Like, that game is not great. It is not what I want Resident Evil to be.
That said, by all means,
it is fun with co-op.
Yeah. No, it is a great co-op game. It is a terrible Resident Evil game. But I think we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, and the episode hasn't even started. Hi, everyone.
Hi, how's it going? Welcome to the podcast.
So, E3 is right around the corner. It is, 2 weeks away?
Yeah.
Less than 2 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wanted to open up the show 5 minutes into this. Wanted to open up the show by letting everybody know that I will be attending E3 for Nintendo Everything and doing a bunch of E3 stuff, meeting with people. So if you, dear listener, are a developer or a friend of a developer, or if you've got somebody that you want us to talk to, get us in contact. Talk to me on Twitter, hit us up in the contacts or whatever. You can send us an email at nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com, and we will get together some interviews or some talks or whatever's going on. Our schedule is really full already, but we have lots of time pre-E3 specifically, as of the time of recording. Hit us up and don't be late because, wow, time is filling up. Time is filling up? Slots are filling up. Time slots are filling up. We'll get there, guys.
Yeah, and definitely send in those questions. Like, having a list of questions actually bring to E3 would be a lot of fun, too.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't really saying that, but that's a really good thing. If you guys have, like, anything about any of the games that you know are going to be at E3 or whatever, and you have things that you want us to specifically ask in interviews or whatever, shoot me an email. I'll throw it into the questions probably. I want to be sure we ask the questions that you guys want to know the answers to. And of course, be sure to pay attention to our podcast in the upcoming weeks, especially. Of course, you listen to every episode every single time, day one, right? And so these next couple of episodes, though, for sure are going to be filled with E3 stuff, Pokemon Direct that's coming up next week. Like, holy crap, I don't know how I'm going to live. I don't know.
I'm guessing you're going to be living through pure Red Bull and caffeine injections.
So I hate Red Bull. I think it tastes like absolute garbage. If you guys have a
Agreed.
recommendation for a good American energy drink, please let me know because wow, am I ready for anything that doesn't taste like crap.
I think that instead of energy drinks, you should make yourself a nice energy tea. Like, I recommend a white tea or a green tea, something with lots of caffeine.
White tea has next to no caffeine in it, and green tea doesn't have that much caffeine in it at all.
Well, then it all depends on the blend that you make. Sorry, I'm in a tea kick right now, so...
But you don't know the caffeine levels, Galen? Mr. Hideo Kojima would be disappointed in you.
Yeah, is it... Not gonna say it. Too easy.
Say it, you coward. What?
Are you saying that he would be spilling all the tea?
About...
So, Adventure Log, hey!
No. This is why we have a thing. You can't just rush into the adventure log. I'm gonna let you know what's going on in this episode before we go into all that. We're gonna be talking about all of the Pokemon stuff that came out recently because of the Pokemon conference that they had. It was actually very exciting. They had lots of announcements in that.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of games that got announced or windows coming out that just came out, like, I don't know, the day of us recording this podcast, and some Mario Maker 2 stuff that we didn't get to talk about a couple of episodes ago, including the recent controversy about Mario Maker 2 not letting you play online with friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah! Ugh, that was a terrible toad.
Oh, yeah!
Your toad is far superior, I'm not gonna lie.
You know, I would be lying if I didn't say that I walk around my house doing that voice for practice.
It's just what you do.
It is. By the way, I can do a Donald Duck voice as well. I remember I was teaching the Super Best Friends not recently, but like, I don't know, 7-8 months ago about it because they were playing Kingdom Hearts, and I was like, because they were trying to do the duck voice on the playthrough, and I was like, yo guys, let me try and tell you through text how this works. And
how did that work?
honestly, Wooly was getting it down. He was getting there. He was making progress. So I feel like I could teach them. But next time I see them, I'm gonna have to be like, yo, this is how it sounds or whatever. Because I feel like you can learn through sounds a lot better than text how to make that Donald Duck voice.
All right, give your best Donald Duck impression right now.
For everything Nintendo, stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
That's not bad. That's really good.
I used to be able to do it when I was younger a whole lot better, but as you get older, like your musculature changes, and you can't do the mouth sounds in the way that you could when you were a child.
Nice.
Galen is an asshole.
That's what he does when he gets mad at you.
Not when I have coffee.
Spit take. Okay, let's do the adventure log. Let's go. So I'm going to start off by saying that I played Dragon's Dogma and I beat the end game boss and the true end game.
Nice. I've been following your Twitter. You've been posting a lot of stuff from that game.
Yeah. Check out my Twitter at Oni_Dino because I've been posting a whole bunch of videos of that game. That game, the gameplay is so much fun and so exciting, and there is no shortage of drop kicks in that game. You get drop kicked so much. So I'm not going to talk much about that just because that's all spoilery stuff, but wow, the set pieces are great, and I'm just so happy to be playing that game on the Switch. And a big thank you to the fans that sent me their friend codes and shared their pawns with me. There was a couple of people that shared pawns with me that had a build of like a sorcerer or something, but I'm already a sorcerer, so I couldn't use them because the balance in the party just wouldn't be right. And I had a really nice time interacting with listeners of the podcast, so thank you very much.
You know, you got to be really careful when people send over their pawns, because if they make it all the way over to your side, you can suddenly find yourself with a random queen over there. And yeah, it's just bad times overall.
I am a gay man. I don't mind a random queen over here. Also, your chess analogy went too far for it to be funny.
I have been waiting to make that chess joke for like 3 episodes now.
You've been waiting and this is what you give us? God. How do you expect us to eat if this is all you serve us?
I expect you to be appreciative of what you get. It's just such good quality, even though it's just not enough of it. Like, I leave you wanting more.
No, you do the opposite. You give us way too much and none of it is good quality. You give us day-old McDonald's. And it hasn't even been refrigerated.
You don't want to refrigerate McDonald's.
You don't want a McDonald's.
Yeah, you just don't want a McDonald's.
No. But you know what you do want? This game that I've been playing.
Nice segue.
I try. I force them. I force them like you force your jokes.
The world does not have enough chess-related jokes. The world needs more.
That is the least important thing in the whole wide world that the world needs right now. More chess jokes. Oh, and it's so wonderful that people can tune into the podcast because this is where they get the chess jokes. Like, oh, thank you. My chess quota of jokes is filled.
That's our target audience, right? Is all the chess jokes?
Yeah. All of them come from the country of Chessopia. Anyway, speaking of chess, not... Shut up.
Oh.
I've been playing Knights of Azure 2 Bride of the New Moon.
I haven't heard of this one.
It makes sense that you wouldn't have heard this one. This game
Okay.
came out a couple of years ago. I got it a while back on a sale or something. And, oh my goodness, this game has things. The briefest description I can give you about this game is it is a booby anime game about lesbians.
Okay, go on.
He's listening. Galen is listening. So, this is made by, I don't know if it's made by or published by Koei Tecmo. It is of course, hack and slash. It's got some Muso stuff going on with it. It is set against a gothic backdrop for the story, and you play as a knight of a particular church called the Curia, and it is your job to fight off these demons that arise with the night. So once the day turns to night, there's demons that come about, and then they've been a little bit more aggressive lately, coming closer to the town, that kind of stuff. That old hat. You have your girlfriend named Liliana, and by the way, that's our first... Well, wait a second. Hold on. Oh, man, there's so many things in this game. So, okay, you get party members, and they're not called your party members. They're called your lilies. Oh, and there is not a man to be found in this game. Every single character is a girl, and almost every one of them is a big old lesbian. And... Stop it. Okay, so they're called your lilies, and in Japanese, lily is yuri, and yuri is used for, what is that called? Like female love stories.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just generalize it as that. So that's your first inclination there. The second inclination is all of the touching and all of the very lesbianic feelings that they have between each other. And your girlfriend has to become a sacrifice to the Moon Queen, who is going to destroy the whole world and destroy humanity and stuff like that. And then in the very opening prologue of the game, you get stabbed by the Moon Queen, then you become a half demon. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite the story. It's quite the anime trash. And I mean, if you don't know me, I eat anime trash for breakfast and sometimes as a snack.
It's one of those like guilty pleasures. It's just like...
It's just a pleasure. It's not guilty. I don't have any guilty pleasures anymore.
Fair enough.
And this game has a myriad of bad textures everywhere. The camera snaps everywhere and is very janky.
Mm-hmm.
The Switch version has the A and the B button screwed up. So like confirm is most of the time the B button instead of the A button, which is where X would be on a PlayStation or a Vita. Sometimes it's the A button to initiate things, but then B button to go through stuff. So it's really annoying and really confusing.
That is very weird.
There are dialogue boxes, sometimes with no text in it whatsoever, like they forgot to put text into that dialogue box. I had a whole interaction with a side character where it joined my party, and I'm like, I don't know what anybody said. Nobody said anything. There wasn't anything in that box of dialogue. They cut corners on animating things like a character picking up something or whatever. There's just fade outs instead of an animation. The frame rate is all over the place. There's dips everywhere. I looked at the PS4 version as well. That also looks bad. It's got a better frame rate than the Switch version, but the textures are awful in the PS4 version too. And the frame rate's also not good in the PS4 version. Clearly, it was based on the Vita version and it went from there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I didn't buy this game for full price. You might be wondering, then why the hell am I playing this, right?
Well, you're playing it because it's big boobied anime trash, so...
Okay, so hold on. Let me tell you a story. Number one, I am a gay man, so I don't care about big boobs very much. I have zero interest in it other than, oh, cool.
True, but you did say in an earlier podcast that you would invite Chung-Li over to dinner.
I like Chun-Li for lots of reasons, not just because she's got a smoking hot bod.
That was the reason you gave.
That was one of the many reasons I gave. She is the strongest woman in the world and a fascinating member of Interpol.
And she just wants to live out her dream of being a regular high school girl.
That was retconned. Anyway, all of these things that I've said about Knights of Azure 2, all of these things aside, I'm actually having a really good time with this game. It has a very specific type of like PS2, even early PS3 era jank. I remember playing a lot of games that had this weird snappy camera that didn't look good, and it gives me a little bit of a warm feeling.
You know, when you say late PS2, early PS3 jank, I get that. I get that connection and that feeling.
Yeah, see, and I'm sure plenty of our listeners kind of get a feel for it too when I say that. It reminds me very much like a very early PS3 game called, I think it was Folklore. And I haven't played that game in a long time, but it was an action game with lots of fantasy and gothic elements to it. And that's very much what this game has too. You get little partners and they are monsters, like fantasy monsters. Everybody's dressed in gothic clothes and there's a whole bunch of gothic architecture. Everything is set at night. So there's lots of very pretty uses of color, like purples and reds and blues. There's lots of personality in this game. The characters are well defined, though they're not original by any means. And I genuinely do care about my main character and her girlfriend. And it's also not even a long game, so I'll see it play through.
All right. Very cool.
I just rescued my girlfriend, so I'm hitting like sort of an arc in the story. So we're going to see how it goes from here. But I just rescued her, and it's only like, I don't know, chapter 3 right now, so it's not that deep into it. Maybe a third of the way through. I don't know.
Yeah.
The one thing that does bother me about it, though, is that it doesn't go full lesbian in the dialogue. When it goes to the very moment when this girl should be saying, no, she's my girlfriend, I'm looking for my girlfriend, she says, I'm looking for my friend, or she's my childhood friend or something like that, it kind of feels like the development team got a little bit scared of it. And it has Japanese dialogue, so I'm listening to the Japanese, and they don't say it either, so it's not a localization issue or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just kind of wish they went one step forward by saying she is my girlfriend and stuff like that. Because, I don't know, this is not like any kind of poster child for LGBTQ inclusion in video games or anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know who the audience is for this game. Maybe it's me. I have no idea. I really don't know what it's trying to say. But I am having a good time with it, and I do like playing as a character who is a lesbian. That's nice.
Very cool.
So, what have you been playing, Galen? Have you been playing Smash Bros?
I have been, actually. And
Oh
actually,
my God.
before I get into this, I do want to give a quick public service announcement, because
Oh no.
I didn't talk to you about this before. It just came to mind. On the Switch, Devolver Digital is currently having a sale right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of their games are on sale.
In the North American eShop, at least.
Yeah, Broforce, Enter the Gungeon, both of them fantastic games. I own both of them. But also the brand new game Katana Zero is on sale. So highly recommend taking advantage of this while you get the chance to. Sorry, you were talking about sales earlier with the game that you got on sale, and it's just like, oh crap, I should probably mention that.
No, that's good.
The other public service announcement that I have, and this actually relates to what we're just talking about, is there is a new update for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I've been playing Smash Bros. A little bit, and the new update includes a couple of new features, one of primarily which was you can now play Smash Bros. In VR with Nintendo Labo. And I do not own Labo, but I do happen to have like a Google Cardboard-esque setup back when like they first started introducing that. I picked up like a discount $5 3D headset for my phone, and I wanted to see if that would work with Labo, and it apparently does kinda. Like I can't close it up because the Switch is too large. So, but I was able to actually watch a 4-player computer match in VR to kind of get an idea of what it would be like. And it's trippy. It's really weird.
I saw some footage online of people, doing the Labo, and it's very much a spectator thing. Nobody can actually play that.
No. But that being said, like being able to move around and see the game, like see the matches done at an angle from the side of it, that's so cool. That's so different. And then I played on, I watched a match on Dracula's stage, and I actually moved the camera all the way up and just looked down. So it was like a top-down perspective of the 4 players running around and fighting.
Huh.
And I actually had a moment where I was watching the fight, and all of a sudden, like, the Grim Reaper shows up, and he starts to fly on by, and I just watch him, like, fly off stage. It was bizarre. So, yeah, I don't know if it is enough to warrant getting a Labo by any means, but I really like what Nintendo is doing and how they're really trying to support this idea of, hey, you can do the Switch in VR, and here are some of the things that you can do with it. So I like them not necessarily experimenting, but just like bringing awareness to that fact.
I kind of wish during their initial announcement way back in like January 2017 when they did that presentation, when Koizumi was introducing like the Joy-Con stuff, I wish he would have been like, and now check this out. And then suddenly he like puts on the Nintendo VR thing. And then he's like, we are currently working on a VR, whatever the hell, because that was such a buzzword back in early 2017. I think that would have been really good promotion for them. But at the same time, like say it didn't come out until now, then people would have been whining about why VR hasn't come to it, and then got their hopes up because there would have been all this analysis videos on YouTube or whatever the hell garbage stuff that people watch. Okay, never mind. Go on. Tell me about it, Galen. How have you been doing with it?
It was fun. It was an entertaining couple of minutes of just like playing around with it, and I haven't actually tried playing a match in it because
My God.
again, I couldn't actually close out the headset that I had with the Switch. I kind of had to like hold it in place. But yeah, it was really weird. What I appreciated a lot more was the other update that they had in regards to amiibo. So the update is basically you can now send out your amiibo fighters online, and they can fight other people's amiibos online.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I actually didn't catch it at first because I haven't been like noticing anybody talking about this new feature. I found it in the actual update details when when it's like you first open up the game. So I dusted off my old amiibo box and I've just pulled out one at random. I think it was like a young Link and just a level 1 amiibo, and I just wanted to put him out there, just give it a try. Let's see what happens. And I got this weird like parental feeling while watching my my little guy fight, and it was kind of entertaining. And I really appreciate Nintendo still trying to support amiibos, which I'll get into in a little bit later. I think this was a really kind of welcome change. Like, it's not something that I knew that I wanted, but it totally makes sense to be like, hey, here's this amiibo I've been leveling up for a while. I'm gonna go send it out and see how it does against everybody else's. And they still like earn stuff like you would normally do with amiibo. Like, they learn skills, they learn AI techniques. You get actual rewards for using it. You get like a couple of coins and some of those like Smash Bros items. Yeah.
So it's worth your time.
I would definitely recommend it. My only complaint is that it takes a while.
Wait a second. You have to watch the matches?
You don't have to, but
Okay.
here's the thing. When you send your Mii out, and it's this whole thing of like, it takes over the entire screen. It's not something that happens in the background. It's something that's actively happening. They warn you that, hey, this could take a little while. You better make sure you have your Switch plugged or you have it docked. Like, they give you that warning right at the beginning.
So this isn't like a World of Light where you send out your people on a scout mission and then
No,
they
it is not
disappear
like
and you go
that.
do your own thing. It's not like that at all?
No, it is an active thing that you have to do. So if you
This
want
sounds
to,
like it sucks.
Yeah. So you go ahead, you put your guy in, and then you just sit there and you wait for them to like find a match like it would on a regular online thing. And it doesn't put you against regular players. It puts you against other people using amiibos. So, and then they also go through the entire match, but they don't show you the match. It just gives you a notice that says, hey, your amiibo is battling.
Well, so wait a second. So you're basically on a menu screen and you just sit there and
Yeah.
it's like trying to watch like a game of a sports game, but you don't have access to the channels. So then you're reading somebody's like Twitter feed of like so-and-so scored a goal. Right?
It's not even that. It is literally just an update an updated screen that says, hey, your amiibo is battling right now. And then when the match is over, it then gives you the option to watch the match, in which case you can skip it or you can go ahead and watch it. And watching the match was entertaining. Like, I liked watching how the other characters played, and it was also kind of interesting because you make the realization that everybody who's playing right now are using their own personal amiibos. So it's kind of fun to see what other amiibos people are using. I saw a lot of King K. Rools. I saw some Bowsers. I saw some Ridleys.
I mean, that's cool that you can play it back and everything, but if that's the case, it should be something that goes on as a background process, or like,
I would
okay,
agree.
we're going to send out your amiibo, check back in 24 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I 100% agree.
Oh, this sounds terrible.
Yeah, it literally was just a waiting game, just waiting to have the computer do all of its thing, and then you can watch the match if you want to, or you can continue on waiting.
Like, you're better off just setting up a Smash battle with your character versus computers. because then it takes less time.
Exactly. I have mixed feelings on it because I have to admit I did actually, like I said, I got this like weird kind of parental feeling of just watching this little guy that I trained just go off and do his thing.
Sure, but I mean, you can get that feeling from just
Having a kid?
Yeah, instead of amiibo. Nice try, Nintendo, with your amiibos. Wait till I shoot a child out. Nintendo's not gonna fool me with their marketing. And then your wife is like, what should we name the child? And then you're like, we should name our son King DDD.
That one's taken. We should name one DEZZNUTZ.
King DDD's nuts. And then your wife is like, we're getting a divorce and you have no parental supervision. And then you're like, no, wait, we can call it Yoshi. We'll meet somewhere in between. Oh, God, if you had twins, you could call them Popo and Nana.
Perfect. No, it's just going to be Fire Emblem character number 1, Fire Emblem character number 2.
Oh, yeah.
Fire Emblem character number
This
3.
is my son, Fire Emblem character sword user number 1. This is my other son. He's our most recent one, sword user number 8.
These are the twins, Lucina and Crom. Sorry, Crom's the Echo Fighter.
Oh, yeah. You're the second child that's born in a twin is the Echo Fighter. Oh, I hope we have a twin listening to this podcast. And if you're the younger twin, you're the Echo Fighter.
I love it so much.
So this mode sucks.
Yeah, and I'm disappointed because it sounds good on paper. Like, I would love to see them if they had changed it so it's something that that could happen in the background, or if it was the matchmaking was a lot faster, and as soon as they made a match connection, you could actually see the match go out. Like, I'm very confused as to why they delayed everything. It felt so long. And here's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's not a send your character out to battle, he gets into a battle, he comes back, and then you're done. He's going on a quote-unquote journey and has to go through 3 battles before he comes back. So you're repeating this process of waiting, watching him fight 2 more times.
No, just take your amiibo and break it with a hammer. This sounds awful.
Yeah. And again, I'm sad to hear that, but Nintendo has a good idea. It's just poor execution for this one.
Oh.
Maybe this is why they didn't give it as much attention as the VR mode. Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Speaking of not putting things in games.
Oh yeah. Hey, great segue. Let's talk about the news.
Mamma mia!
So, Super Mario Maker 2 coming out very soon for the Nintendo Switch next month.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot create friend lobbies when playing online. You can only play online with other random players.
Yeah.
The reason that they gave for this is that online play with other people is ranked, and so if you play online with friends, it could screw up the leaderboards or whatever. In my opinion, that is a BS reason. I have 2 solutions to this, because of course I never want to complain about a problem without giving a solution. That's a great life tip in general, by the way. Never just straight up complain, offer a solution.
I like that mentality of thinking.
Why, thank you. I complain a lot, so I know how to offer a lot of good solutions. So, number 1 solution, of course, is I think the one that everybody naturally comes to. Just offer a separate mode for unranked online gameplay, and then you can play with friends online. Totally fine. I don't think anybody would really care about that. Who actually cares about leaderboards right now? You know what I mean? 1% of actual players.
Yeah, and also you're doing leaderboards when it comes to something about making levels. Like, if you're worrying about getting the high score on a level, then you're kind of looking in the wrong place.
It's the same tier as chess jokes. It's the least important thing in the whole wide world.
I see what you did there. Checkmate.
If this situation is that you are trying to be protective of young people who are playing Mario Maker, because of course this game appeals to people of all ages, including very young children, the solution is use that parental app that you have for the Nintendo Switch and on phones. Use that parental app to deactivate playing online with people on the friends list. And on that topic, why don't we have a messaging system on the Nintendo Switch? Why don't we have a voice chat system on the Nintendo Switch that doesn't just use the phone? The parental app could deactivate those features if you have a child that we want to limit those things to whatever. That is a whole nother situation. It's not even a whole nother situation. Then it's just another situation I can't get into. I got a lot of things to say in this episode. Getting too hot over here.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is just absolute BS. The story about this, though, is not just this. It's that it's also kind of blowing up on the internet. Because Super Mario Maker 2 is a big game. It is Nintendo's big game that they're pushing for sure for the summer, even though they have a million other ones too.
Yeah.
And it's good, in my opinion, that there is a huge backlash to this, because hopefully Nintendo will actually change their decision and include a mode to play online.
They include a maid to come to your house and wipe off all the dust off of your Wii U.
She's like, "Go Shujin-sama, do you want to play with Tomodachis online?" Anyway, that got weird.
These are also all of the maids from Night of Azure 2.
No. It's from that. What's that super booby game that's coming out for Switch? Omega Labyrinth something. That one. Did you see the? Okay, side story here. Did you see the announcement that they had recently for it? We just put it up on our website maybe a day ago.
No, I haven't.
So it's so terrible. So I don't know. It's some booby RPG game. And the girl...
I love how that's a genre.
It is. It's total genre. If it's coming out of Japan, there's that genre for sure. And this girl has like a press conference and she's like, "We're so excited that our game is finally coming out," because it's getting censored on the PS4. So they're releasing basically 2 versions. And then she's like, "So I'm having a thank you boob exposing conference where I'm showing you my boobs for thanks that my video game is coming out." Yes.
What?
I mean, she's wearing a bra and it's anime boobs. So, she should be falling over because those are weighty. But anyway, it's just Japan, man. It's just creepy anime Japan sex pervert stuff. It's just what's happening in the world. But anyway, at the end of the conference, somebody asks in the audience the question, like a reporter, and they're like, "Excuse me, don't you think some families would feel embarrassed to play this game? What about the families?" And then they're like, "Well, thank you. That is a great question. So we're happy to announce that we're introducing the Family Edition for the PlayStation 4, where you can..." And then they show a whole bunch of what are those called? Stock images of families having fun together. And they're like, "You can play this game," and it takes out the word Omega, and Omega is written with the Greek character, which is basically a W, and they use the W for being ha, boobs. So that one is missing Omega, so it's just Labyrinth, whatever the hell that game is called. I don't know. That game doesn't look like a fun game, so I'm not interested in it. And also, I don't know, sometimes there's a really weird fine line about creepy sex pervert stuff that I'll either enjoy or I won't enjoy, and that's kind of one that I won't enjoy because, I don't know, the girls are kind of not in control of their own sexuality, and it's just weird. It has a very strange voyeuristic thing, and...
I draw the line when it comes to those kind of games when I saw that there was a pinball game.
Oh God!
With that.
No, we don't say anything more. I have a feeling we can just imagine what that's about.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what you're imagining it. It's so bad.
Jesus.
And the worst part is it's a sequel.
What is it called? The pinballing?
I would have to look it up. I've blocked that entire thing from my memory.
I bet it's in one of your shameful folders, though, right next to your shameful Bowsette folder, right?
Yes, it is in the folder on my desktop labeled "This is not shame."
Gross.
All capitals.
The thing with those games is that when it's a whole bunch of voyeuristic kind of sexualization of especially young girls or something like that, I feel very weird about that because that is very pedophilic, and the thing is that I'm an adult that has seen lots of terrible things, and I think that those pedophilia-esque games are pretty gross. And living in Tokyo, I've seen girls being groped on the train countless times. That happens all the time. And even like young girls, like schoolgirls, getting groped or like upskirted or something on a train, and people don't say anything about it. And I mean, these situations and these issues exist in real life, and perhaps it's anecdotal for me to talk about it in my life where I've just seen it all the time. It's just gross. When I see those games like that that really fetishize young girls like that, I just can't get into it. It's just
No, I'm right there with you.
It's a social issue for sure.
Yeah.
I was about to say, how do we get onto this topic?
Yeah, okay, well, as with any conversation about Super Mario, you're going to start talking about sexualization of females in media. Jesus. I had a big bowl of cereal hoping it would have woken me up right before the podcast. I had too big a bowl of cereal. That was a lot of sugar.
I think you're a little too woke right now.
I am #woke. Oh man, speaking of woke, we got lots more to talk about the Pokemon stuff. Let's go on. So, okay, wait, hold on. Mario Maker, we're still talking about that. Big backlash. Good. What do you think? Oh, kill me.
Oh, God. Okay, so it's what I've said before in the past. This is Nintendo kind of doing their own thing and figuring out how to make their games compatible with the internet, following their own rules. They're going through their own trial and error.
And they are error right now.
They're definitely in error. Like, I would
That was a Zelda 2 reference for you, by the way.
I would have much rather had no random matchmaking and only lobbies. Like, if I was to give the two. And I'm trying to justify why they would leave this out of the game. Okay.
It's unjustifiable, right?
Yeah, like maybe it's a matter of, not being able to bring everybody into the same lobby given the friend code, but that doesn't make a lot of sense because you just have a host to the lobby.
Yeah.
Maybe there's, it's a matter of...
Don't even go down that avenue.
Yeah, maybe it's a matter of not everybody has the right parental allowances. Hey, my parental securities are different than yours, and that's why they're not matching. Like, that one makes a little bit more sense to me.
No, it doesn't. No, everything you're saying is making me mad.
Yeah, it's. I keep coming up short when it comes to finding a reason why they did not add this in.
Right.
So, the other thing is, like, this isn't also the first feature that they're kind of leaving out of the game. Like, they recently also announced that they're not going to have any amiibo support in the game, and that's something that I questioned when we originally talked about.
Yeah, that was a weird one, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciated being able to slap on one of the random amiibos and like be able to make a themed level, and you can kind of get that message across of, hey, this is what the theme is supposed to be, by letting you play as Samus, being able to play as Cloud,
Right.
Donkey Kong, whatever.
But those, I think that they said that those costumes are going to be in the game. Those like super special ones like Hatsune Miku and like whatever the hell super crazy ones are not going to be in the game, but the others are. I think I read that.
Yeah.
So I guess people would be happy with that it's not locked behind an amiibo, but it is weird to have such a big game, such a major game like Super Mario Maker, that Nintendo is not putting amiibo support behind when its first game had the amiibo support. It's strange.
So, if I remember correctly, in the first game, you could still unlock all the things in the game without the amiibos. It's just with the amiibos, you can do everything a lot faster.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And here's the other thing that I want to bring up, is that Mario Maker is an evolving game. Like, we saw this when the first Mario Maker came out. There were originally restrictions where you can only have certain pieces for the first week or so And then the next week went by, it allowed you to have more pieces. Like, it wanted to give you like this gradual growth as opposed to just throwing everything right at the beginning. They realized that didn't work for a lot of people, so they removed that aspect from the game.
Did they? That's good.
They did.
They had way too long of a timeline on that. It actually stifled gameplay, in my opinion.
Yeah. They changed it around to you have to beat tutorial levels and you have to play a certain amount of levels. Once you have played those levels, then they unlocked more pieces for you. But it was a progression based on skill and understanding versus a time gate. And they realized that the time gate aspect didn't work, and that's why they changed it. This is something that we might see change down the line. It's another one of those things that I'm surprised that we have to say this is something that we want. We have to say,
yeah, it's incredibly dumb.
Why didn't you think of this? So
I'm sure they did, but they have some sort of reason, or somebody made the decision, because this is such a bare bones feature, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it came up and there is a reason, and they're not saying what it is, but here's the thing. It's good that there's this big backlash, so that way they will change their opinion, hopefully. My biggest suggestion to all of our listeners who care about this is to write Nintendo customer service an email. A polite, keyword there, and well-worded, keyword there, email about wanting online play with friends. You catch more flies with honey. You can't just be mean. Nothing's gonna happen that way. Also, there's enough mean crap all over the internet and in general and in life. You don't need to create more mean. Just be nice.
Yeah.
But anyway,
absolutely.
Send a damn email about this if you care about it, because eventually it does get heard. Whether they make that decision is on them.
Yeah. Or, just hold on to your Nintendo vouchers until they fix the game.
Oh God, there's all that too.
Yeah. Can we talk about the Nintendo vouchers?
Yeah. Let's talk about the voucher thing for just a little bit. We got a lot more to talk about though, so let's talk about it just a moment.
Absolutely.
It's basically you buy 2 vouchers, and we're just going to use US prices right now. It's $99, and you can then use those 2 vouchers to buy 2 $60 games, and then you get a savings of $20. It's just, for how streamlined these things have been with other people before, it's too many steps. You know what I mean? Buying the voucher and then using them to redeem them for a game. It's not awful, but it is just unnecessary.
I don't necessarily think this is unnecessary. I do think it is a different way of thinking about things, and I think it is I have noticed that with a lot of retailer stores, like Best Buy, for example. Amazon had this for the longest time. They had a quote-unquote gaming program that you could sign up to.
Yeah. And
when you signed up for it, you got a 20% discount on any new retail priced games that you got. And that was awesome, because you get a $60 game, and it brings the price down to like $42 for a brand new game. And like that seems like a significant discount. And
48 minus tax.
Oh, 48. My mistake. Sorry.
Yeah, and then with tax, it would go up to like 52 or something.
But still, I mean, it was a significant savings, especially if you bought like a couple of games a year. It usually paid for whatever that intro price was. I've been seeing a lot of those kind of programs going away, and especially with a lot of talk nowadays about wanting to go to a more digital aspect and the importance of physical versus digital, you don't really see a lot of deals like that when it comes to a digital landscape.
Yeah, I mean, I know where you're going with this, and I do want to talk about that, but because I agree with you on that, but in my opinion, the part that I was talking about before about the steps, that is what I think is just poorly implemented. It's just too many steps.
Yeah. I would agree that it is too many steps.
That's what I take issue with.
And I guess I don't have so much of an issue with that, because it does give you a lot of freedom to say, hey, and this is just a special, right? It's just a special that they're doing this voucher thing for.
Yeah, it's a limited time special. So I think until the end of June, maybe it's the end of July, but I think it's the end of June, this offer is available. And then you can use those vouchers from within 1 year of your purchase date on a curated list of games, including some games that will be added in the future. It says so on the terms and conditions. Ultimately, this is good for people who are going to be buying games day one digital anyway. This is good for those people. For people who don't buy day one and don't buy digital, this is not a good system, really. Because if you're waiting for a while, sometimes you can find a game on a sale. It depends on your region. It depends on whether you're buying new or used. Sometimes you can find them a little bit cheaper if you're waiting a little bit. Like, Nintendo games generally don't go down in price too much compared to many other publishers or many other platforms as well. And also different regions, right? So like, this is a terrible deal for pretty much all of Europe, because specifically in like the UK, a game might launch for €60, but retailers almost never adhere day one to that MSRP, the manufactured suggested retail price. Games will launch and then you can still find it like that first week for €40 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why this is terrible. That's why lots of people in Europe don't choose digital, from what I've heard, because it'll be on the store the same day, the same week that it comes out for €60, and then in the store you can find it for like €40. It doesn't work like that at all in the States. In the States, it comes out at $60 and it's $60 until there's a price drop, or maybe there's a weekly sale for $5 or $10 off or something like that.
Yeah. Nintendo games have been notorious for like retaining their value throughout the lifespan of the game itself. Like, if you go to most stores, you would still find like Breath of the Wild probably for like $60.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nowadays.
Absolutely.
So,
and then, I mean, look at a similar game that came out in a similar time frame. It didn't sell as much, but it was a big seller. Horizon Zero Dawn on the PS4.
Yeah.
That game, the edition with all of the DLC, is like $20 at a retailer right now. Some people would complain and say, you know, Nintendo should be lowering the price of their games. As a consumer, from a very purely consumer point of view, I agree with you, because I would like to pay less for my video games. But at the same time, from a business perspective, if people are still buying your game at $60 and people aren't really expecting your games to lower in price, and it's getting that air about it, that knowledge that, oh yeah, Nintendo games don't really go down in price, so just buy it for pretty much full price or a little bit discount.
Yeah.
Then from a business perspective, you should not be lowering your prices, because you should not be giving away free revenue, you know? So I'm of two minds on that, right?
Yeah, so I've got a couple thoughts on this, and then I think we should move on after that. But
it's an hour into the podcast, and we haven't even started talking about our main thing. This is a bonus episode, everybody. Oh, by the way, I'm so sorry to interrupt you right now, because I do want you to go on. But I wanted to say to our listeners, let us know, because we have listeners from all over the world. We got people in several different countries in South America. We got a couple in Africa, many other countries in Asia and Southeast Asia, all over the world.
What's up, world? Hey.
So, dear listeners, let us know what the selling situation is like in your country. Like I said, the UK, it sells real low, real early for any game. So let me know what the situation is like in your country, and if something like this, if you were a digital day one purchaser, if something like this would be beneficial for you.
Yeah.
If you're a day one purchaser in UK, this is still not really a good program for you, because you're still going to find these things cheaper at retail. So sorry, let us know. Send us an email, nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com. I'm very interested to hear what people got to say about that.
Yeah, me too.
So go on. Sorry, what were you saying?
The first thing I wanted to point out is that in regards to this Nintendo voucher thing, I feel like this is more of a test by Nintendo than anything else. I feel like this is something that if it does well, if they do see a lot of feedback and a lot of people taking advantage of this, they might, I don't know, maybe implement it into their Nintendo Online, to make that more enticing. Because I know that they definitely want to try to increase the appeal of that, because they've said it several times.
Sure,
They want
yeah.
to try to increase that. As far as like the pricing of games and whatnot, switching topics a little bit, Sony recently came out with a Days of Play sale, or they do this every year, and it's always like around the E3 time.
I'm glad you're bringing this up.
Yeah, they showcased a bunch of games that they are going to have on sale. At the $20 price point, they had God of War, like the new God of War game, the new Spider-Man game, which were, one of them was a Game of the Year winner, and then one of them was the contender for Game of the Year winner last year. And then Days Gone, which just came out like a month or two ago.
Yeah, honestly, that's why, in my opinion, you should never buy PlayStation games day one. Unless you're insanely hyped like I was for Resident Evil 2, you should just not buy games day one unless you really can't handle yourself. Because look at this. Like, my friend bought Assassin's Creed Odyssey last year, which came out, around just before the holidays, and that game was already down to $30 a couple weeks later, and I was like, oh yeah, I picked up that game because it went on sale. And he was so mad. He goes, what? I just bought that game. Like, it was so funny. But I mean, like, you got to be smart with your money. Like, we all play video games all the damn time. We got to be smart with our money so we can play games.
Yeah, and I've been in that position too. I mean, I've been in the exact same spot as your friend. And it exemplifies to me the difference in business strategy when it comes to Nintendo versus how everybody else has been doing things, primarily like Sony and Microsoft. It's, hey, we're going to make this game, we're going to make it as flashy as possible, we're going to throw it out, and when sales start to slow down, we're going to lower the price to make it more appealing. Where Nintendo has this policy of, we want to make these good quality games that will be enticing and worth buying at this price for the whole thing. They're not trying to focus on the, I guess you can call it a gimmick of the cheaper, why do I want to say the cheaper Apple Cart? That's not a saying. What are you doing, Galen?
I honestly, you say a whole bunch of crazy shit all the time, and I have to pick and choose which ones I complain about, because otherwise I'd be sitting here and I'd be complaining the whole podcast.
Then this would be a 2-hour podcast at this point.
Oh my god, it is going to be.
No, it's just Nintendo has a very unique position because they've made themselves a unique market. I feel like this kind of this voucher program is something that would not work for any other platform. It has to be Nintendo because people who pick up Nintendo games consistently recognize the value of that amount of savings, because it's not a gambling to see if you can get the game cheaper later down the line. It's here's more of an incentive so you don't have to wait, because it's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
So I disagree with that, though, because, like, for example, recently I saw at Best Buy in America, they were running a sale on Mario Odyssey, Zelda, and, well, I guess Mario Odyssey is the one, because that came out last year around this time. Wait, not this time last year. Holy crap. Come on. No, it's 2017. Anyway, okay, this ruined my point. If you wait several months, you'll probably be able to get your game $5 or $10 off in the United States for a Nintendo published game. Probably. Not guaranteed, though. It's super guaranteed for a PlayStation game, but like, I don't know, Mario Odyssey, I'm sure it went on sale once within the first, say, 7 months, 8 months. But like, if it went on sale for like $5 or $10 cheaper, like not much, right? So, I mean, I don't really agree with what you're saying about this. I think that this is only good for the specific market of people who are buying digitally and buying pretty much day one.
And I think that's an okay thing. Like, I feel it's okay to bring out a feature that's going to be for a narrow demographic versus like the overall player base.
My thought on that, though, is that it doesn't really do a whole bunch of good publicity for you to have a program like this, because it just kind of makes it look like, okay, you're doing this sort of ass backwards, long-winded process, and you're being stingy about it. In my opinion, what this should be instead is not a voucher thing. It should just be, are you a Nintendo Switch Online subscriber? If so, pre-purchase your game and get $10 off immediately. And that's it. That'd be the easiest thing, and that would be a good incentive for a lot of different people.
yeah, this might be something that we see later down the line.
I would buy games like that because it's possibly the cheaper version for me if I'm sure that I don't want to sell it.
Yeah. Well, and also it fills the hole of, hey, it's a digital game, you can't exactly sell it back, can you? Because I mean, there's nothing to physically sell back.
For some people, yeah, like, I mean, lots of people are opinionated on this digital versus physical thing. It really just comes down to having options for your consumers to buy multiple different ways, and your consumer can choose then what works for exactly them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really all it is. And if you want to incentivize people to purchase digitally, which is smart, then that's a way that you can do it.
I'm going to be very interested in the next, like, financial bit of news that Nintendo comes out with, because I'm very interested to see what were the results of this program. I honestly believe that this program was a test, and they are trying to tread the water and find out what works for them, as opposed to just doing something that everybody else wants to do.
This is just like such a dumb little stupid misstep. It's like, don't air your dirty laundry kind of situation. Like, figure your thing out. And then
I don't think it's that bad.
I don't know. I just think it's dumb, and it makes Nintendo look dumb because they're always the ones that are behind on online stuff, right? We just talked about Mario Maker. It's just Nintendo being Nintendo again, and they need to move beyond that image. They shook off part of that image with the Wii U and being forward thinking and introducing a product like the Switch that consumers actually want to buy, but they still have these other stupid things that they gotta shake it off. Listen to some Taylor Swift, Nintendo.
I honestly think that there are some advantages with coming to the internet landscape a little bit later than everybody else, because you can kind of build from the ground up as opposed to doing what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo does that, right? They have conservative business practices. They try to learn from the other people that rush on the front lines, and then they're, not on the front line, but on the very, very back line. So there's positives and negatives for that, right? It's a double-edged sword.
This is a coffee talk topic for sure for another day.
I don't know if I can brew enough coffee for that.
Can I recommend some tea?
So jumping forward, we got just a couple of very brief announcements. Cadence of Hyrule, the indie-developed Crypt of the Necrodancer cross Legend of Zelda. It is announced that it will be launching in June. We got a little bit of extra gameplay of it as well in the Nintendo's Indie World presentation in Japan.
That's really cool.
My thought on this is maybe it's going to be released at E3, during E3.
You think it's going to be one of their shadow drops that they have? Because they were kind of notorious for that last year.
Sure, you want to throw out those shadow drop words.
I'm going to do it. I'm just going to drop that shadow drop. Yo. What?
Hit us with a fresh rap about Cadence of Hyrule being released on the Nintendo Switch at E3 in June. Galen, go.
Cadence of Hyrule coming in June. Is it going to be at E3 or is that too soon? Word.
Okay, that's fine. That's staying in. Not bad.
Thank you.
And then Natsume announced Harvest Moon Mad Dash, which will be shown at E3 this year. In their press release, they said, fans might be surprised at what we have in store for Harvest Moon this year. This different take on the Harvest Moon experience will let players enjoy the classic features of the series in a new and exciting way. This is confirmed for Switch and PS4, so it's not a mobile game or something like that. So it's going to be interesting. Looks like they're trying to switch up the formula a little bit.
Nice.
I will be going hands-on with this game at E3, and I think I have an interview set up. I don't remember while my schedule is crazy and full of so much stuff. I don't even know. So I'll be sure to go super in-depth with this. If you have questions you want to know about, you send me that email. Email me, female.
I have a question for you.
Yes, female.
Can I go with?
No, it's too late. I already told you it's too late.
Oh.
Now, let's talk about the Pokemon press conference that just happened a couple of days ago.
Nice.
There was so much stuff that happened here. There's a Pokemon Direct coming up next week too, and there's gonna be so much more information there. Holy crap, this is the days of Pokemon we living in.
Mm-hmm.
So it started out with the Pokemon CEO Ishihara. He was touting that the conference is translated from Japanese into English and Chinese because they aim to bring their services to Chinese speakers moving forward, showing just the commitment that they have there.
Yeah. This should not have been a surprise for anybody, especially because of the whole thing between Nintendo and Tencent. And
yeah, but the Pokemon Company does operate slightly independently from Nintendo. They operate in tandem, but separate from Nintendo.
yeah.
So right after that, the managing director of Toho Cinema, not cinemas, the movie production company, he came out and he announced that he's going to become an external board member to the Pokemon Company's board of directors.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, that means we're getting more Pokemon films for sure, with Toho somehow involved.
I love how his first action was to announce this to everybody, and his second announcement was to talk about Godzilla for a little while.
Yeah, that was really good. So he mentioned like how Detective Pikachu is getting really, really good reception, and how they handled Japan's distribution, and they were investor in Detective Pikachu. Then he said, because Ken Watanabe is in the film, he said, hey, you should go see Godzilla so you can see more of Ken Watanabe again in a Toho movie. And then it went over to Ishihara, and Ishihara was like, oh, thanks for that completely unrelated plug, you dick.
Yeah.
And the translator, even the
It
English
was so
translator, was like
great.
chuckling through it. It was so good. Yeah.
Hey, thank you for that non-Pokemon related news.
Thank you for the most inappropriate announcement that had something to not do with Pokemon at all.
I loved it.
I really liked the translator just chuckling through his words. It was cute.
Right.
He seems like a nice guy. So from there, they started talking about how there's going to be a Detective Pikachu game coming out for Nintendo Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And it is not clear yet whether this is a sequel or a port with additional content, but they did say that it is, quote, a conclusion of the story that will finally come to Nintendo Switch, end quote. So this is pretty cool because apparently, and I didn't play it, I don't think you did either, Detective Pikachu on the 3DS, that ended on a bit of a cliffhanger.
I have not played Detective Pikachu myself. I heard some kind of lackluster things about the game and kind of was like, I'll pass on this for now. Maybe I'll pick it up later down the road. Although I wanted that amiibo. That amiibo looked pretty cool.
The one that was like 8 times the size?
It was like the giant Yarn Yoshi equivalent of the Pikachu amiibo.
If I could press a button and then Danny DeVito's voice came out of that thing, I would have bought 100.
They all would have been sold out.
My thoughts on this is that it's probably going to become a port with additional content. That game just came out. I'd be surprised if it was a sequel or anything like that. And it kind of came out just as people's hype was going up for the Switch, right? So it got a little bit underlooked, even though it was a Pikachu game, right? And that's exactly why I didn't play it. If it was on the Switch, I would have played it. But I was kind of like in that transitional period of like, well, the Switch is everything that my 3DS isn't.
Yeah, I want to play the Switch. I don't want to play the 3DS right now. It was that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
Side note, I'm calling you out right now. Did you go see Detective Pikachu yet?
No. Did you?
No.
Then you're not calling me out, you jerk. We're both awful. That's all it is. Everybody knows that. If you're listening right now, if you're this far into the podcast already, you know how awful we both are already.
This is the proper definition of airing your dirty laundry.
No, it isn't. No, that's not what that... And we even said to listeners that we were going to try and watch that movie so that way they could look forward to this podcast. If we ever promise you anything, expect less and we'll deliver even less than that too.
Oh, fun.
I don't know. I'll see that movie at some point, I'm sure. It looks good and I want to see it. And I heard it was fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, more Detective Pikachu is coming down the pipeline.
Nice.
Ishihara then went on to announce that they opened up a Pokemon Center in Singapore in Changi Airport. There's like a big like shopping thing there called Jewel or something like that, and they opened it up there. So
Yeah.
that's good for Asia. They also talked about how a Pokemon Center is opening up in the new Paruko building in Shibuya in Tokyo. Shibuya is a mess of construction right now. It is god awful. I hate going there. It's unrecognizable. I used to go to Shibuya literally every single day to go to school way back when I was in university, and it's unrecognizable now. It sucks. So I guess later on this year I'll be there so I can go to it because it's going to be opening up in fall. So it should be, as long as it's opening up on schedule, it should be opened up when I go there. So I guess I'll go take some pictures if you guys want to see pictures.
Hey, I'm going there too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Hey, big old reveal for the podcast right now. Pew 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 pew. Galen and I are going. We're gonna be in Tokyo together. So yeah,
Fun. Not to underplay our exciting new announcement, but have you actually ever been to one of the Pokemon centers?
no, I don't think.
Yeah.
No.
Me neither. And I know they have some in the States. They have some like all over the world, but never been
I
there.
can't remember where they are in the States. I feel like there's very few of them. I mean, I've walked past the Pokemon Center that they have in Tokyo. God, where the hell was that? Is that Ebisu? Not Ebisu. I can't remember exactly where it was. This is not interesting for the podcast. I've walked past it before and been like, oh yeah, I should go there. But I don't know. I'm not that big of a Pokemon fan. When I was younger, for sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, I like Pokemon, but I don't know. If it was a Nintendo store, I would have been like, oh, whoops. I got 5 minutes. Let me go in there. But it's just a Pokemon store. I'll go there at some point. I'll definitely go to this one that's new in Shibuya. They introduced like the concept for it. There's like a big Mewtwo that's there, right, for an eye catch. And it'll be interesting. It's going to be a big old god-awful mess of tourists and awful people. And I'm just going to be like, what is happening to my Shibuya? But I will go there. And then after that, Ethan Wong from NetEase came out. He introduces that they are releasing the first official Pokemon game for mobile in China. They're introducing Pokemon Quest, which came out not recently, but like last year for the Switch and mobile in most territories across the world. And it is going to be the same game as that, but with added PvP and some sort of social system as well. This is pretty cool, and this is really Nintendo. No, I don't know if it's Nintendo, but it's definitely Pokemon cutting right into China. And I think that this is excellent news because mobile and PC gaming are kings in mainland China. This is good news for Nintendo and for the Pokemon Company. What does this really mean, though, for the near future for them?
I don't know. I mean, this is the second time that we've seen them make mention of trying to be more involved with the Chinese market, you know?
Oh, and investors are just eating it up. Whenever they hear that, they're like, oh, yeah, money,
And a weird animal to kind of go with, but...
It was a seal. Because you know how seals, like at zoos, they clap their hands and stuff? It's that.
I thought seals just walked around singing about roses with their shirts off. Is that the wrong seal? Thank you for picking up on that one. As far as like, I feel like this was just primarily just an investor comment. This is saying, hey, we're getting involved in China. We're bringing out this game into China. China. Just like you said, investors eat this kind of stuff up all the time.
Yep.
As far as practicality, I'm sure it's for the people who are
interested in Pokemon Quest, it's going to be nice to know that they've got those added features there. I don't know if this is going to do much, but I haven't actually played Pokemon Quest myself. Have you?
I played the Switch version once, and I was like, "Oh, okay," and then I closed the game, and then I uninstalled it. It's fun, but it's got that mobile game balance to it where I'm like, this is asking me to commit long term for shallow gameplay, and believe me, I'm cool with shallow gameplay. I play Koei Tecmo games, okay? I play the Warriors games. I love them. But I just, with those games, you're in full control of your progress. And with the mobile ones, it's just like pushed into microtransactions and balancing currency. I complained about this last episode. Just go listen to that episode if you want to hear me complain about that.
And to be honest, I've got my own mobile game reservations a little bit later when we talk about another new launch. We'll get into that later.
I got limited time, yo. I'm a businessman.
Yeah. It's a businessman with a business plan.
What kind of none of your business, man?
You're just walking around just saying China, China, China.
China, China, China.
Now I have Kiss from a Rose stuck in my head.
You remain my power, my
pleasure, my pain.
Yeah. It's a good song.
Completely side note, you can cut this out if you want, but I'm actually doing karaoke with some family tomorrow, and I think I'm going to sing that song.
I expect you to take a video, a little snippet of that, and put it on your Twitter. Do it, you coward.
Follow me for all of my drunken singing at Mobius087.
Do
it.
So anyway, I think that this is great for Nintendo with the smartphones in China. I think that Nintendo, of course, they want to push their IP and everything, right? Pokemon is a very recognizable IP in China. I would gander that it is more recognizable than Mario or Zelda or something like that. So I think that Nintendo should probably switch gears a little bit and, push their Mario IP and all of their classic things like that. But I think that they should really be cool with being known as the Pokemon company in China. And not by name, like that's just a coincidence that that's actually the name of the company. But I mean like the company that does the Pokemons in China. And I think that that is going to be their easiest way to break into and sow the seeds in China. And from there, introduce all their other IP. So then Masuda from Game Freak came out onto the stage and he introduced Pokemon Home, a new cloud-based service for Nintendo Switch and smart devices. This brings Pokemon together from Pokemon Go, Pokemon Bank on the 3DS, Pokemon Let's Go, and the upcoming Pokemon Sword and Shield on the Switch. Brings them all together into this cloud-based service so you can then trade with players globally, nearby, or with friends. Keyword Super Mario Maker, take notes, with friends. And this service is launching early 2020, so just after the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield on the Switch.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to hear that this wasn't launching like right alongside Sword and Shield.
I was too, but then I was like, oh my god, it must be a coding nightmare though.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean,
I can't imagine.
You have Pokemon that are coming from so many different sources. I mean, combining the Pokemon that you would get from Let's Go, Eevee, and Pikachu with Pokemon Go, with the plethora of Pokemon games that are out there, like, it's got to be insane.
Yeah, because on Pokemon Bank, I can't remember because it's been a while since that service came out, but you can bring Pokemon all the way back using Pokemon Bank, all the way back from, I think, the third generation of Pokemon, the ones that were after the Game Boy Color, the ones that were on the Game Boy Advance, I think.
Because when Ruby and Sapphire originally came out, there was no way to trade Pokemon from the original Game Boy versions. So all of them from her red and blue or red and green in Japan, and then ruby and sapphire. Wow, colors, I know them. Gold and silver, not to mention yellow and crystal. Like those were just completely cut off, but everything else you've been able to move them along this entire time.
Okay.
And then, oh god, when did they come out with Bank? It wasn't Sun and Moon. It was the one right before that.
Yeah, it came out, I think, after X and Y. Like, just after X and Y.
Yeah, it was around that time frame. Yeah.
It was, like, sort of the same situation where this is going to launch after Sword and Shield, but, like, you know, to coincide with it. It did that with X and Y for Pokemon Bank, if I recall correctly. Because X and Y, that was the first games on the 3DS, wasn't it? The first Pokemon games?
Yes.
The first mainline ones?
Those...
Remember how
Yeah.
freaking crazy that felt? The jump from, what was the most recent one that came out before that? Was it Black?
Black and White. Mm-hmm.
Look at the jump between that and, sorry, I'm sidetracking us again because I want to complain because I got opinions on video games. The jump from Black and White 2 to X and Y was mind-blowing. And then look at the jump from Ultra Sun and Moon to Sword and Shield so far. It's so underwhelming. Hopefully next week changes my mind and you're listening to this podcast right now and you're like, the Pokemon Direct just came out and I bet Oni is just
the biggest
eating his
grin
words.
on your face.
Yeah. Like, believe me, I will happily eat my words and smear it all over my face. I will. I want to be proven wrong, but right now I'm just like, damn it. Anyway, this Pokemon home service is great because, like they said in the conference, people feel very strongly and feel a really strong connection to these Pokemon that they've raised for almost 20 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's great that they're finally doing this service that very much needed to happen.
Yeah. What I really hope to see is that they do something more than just maintenance in this Pokemon home. Like even if it's just the simplest thing, like you can give your Pokemon like treats or something like that to like increase its happiness. So, you know, something that's not actually like training them, because that's what the actual games are for, but something to make you feel like, if they're calling it a home for all the Pokemon, something that like make that home connection with them.
I would like to see something like the 3DS games where they had rub your Pokemon, something like that put in Pokemon
I played that a little bit too much. Man,
you are on
stupid.
a watch list somewhere right now, you creepy sex pervert.
Not telling me anything I don't already know. Hey.
Don't lean into that. That's not a funny joke, you weirdo.
No, I remember going through the what was Pokemon Sylveon? It was the evolution of Eevee that evolves due to the happiness of the Pokemon.
Oh, I don't know.
You had to like get it at max happiness or something like that, and it was like I think it was the fairy type.
Okay.
But I just remember like giving my wife the 3DS and be like, here, look, you can feed this Pokemon, do all this work for me. I mean, what? It's really cute.
I bet she loved it too, and she just didn't know that she was doing work for you.
A little column A, a little column B.
Yeah.
So I would love to see something very superficial in Pokemon Home. Just some,
Yeah,
I mean,
optional superficial nonsense thing. I would be surprised if they didn't do it, honestly.
yeah. I mean, if you are the kind of person who cares enough about your Pokemon and bringing them over through the generations, that you've got to have some good stories with that. Like, I have got some good stories myself on when they came out with the remake of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and they had that little Pokemeter which came along with it, and there were certain Pokemon that you can catch in the Pokemeter that had moves that it couldn't normally get, and I managed to get a Munchlax that knew self-destruct. And I got that Munchlax and I trained it up all the way. Fast forward to my other to a little bit later in the year, my buddies and I are playing this, and I decided to have a Pokemon match with them in this game. And it got down to we were each at one single Pokemon. And I had that Snorlax that I had evolved, and he had like an Alakazam or something like that. I had like maybe half health on him, and he had full health. Like, there was no way I was going to win this match. So I decided, you know what? He's not going to expect this, and I hit self-destruct on him. He got to move first, knocked me all the way down to 1 HP. I didn't have any items or anything. That's just how the numbers rolled. And then self-destruct hit, and it took both of us up, and it's the first time I have ever drawn in a Pokemon game. And I recorded... Yeah, I saved that footage, and I recorded it on my phone, and I still have that footage to this day, because I am so happy with how that went.
That's a great story. And that's exactly what Pokemon Home does, is it brings together all those Pokemon that you have that story with that you don't want to leave behind on hardware.
Exactly. And I'm really hoping this kind of encourages that, that feeling of, hey, you remember this guy? I've had him for a while now.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah.
I also, of course, the legacy thing is the big appeal to it, but I also had the thought when I was listening to all of this stuff in the conference, and I thought, oh my god, this is amazing. You can be playing Sword and Shield on your Switch, you go out for a run or a walk, to do your exercise, catch Pokemon on your phone in Pokemon Go, send them to your Switch using this Pokemon Home service, and then train them on your Switch.
Yeah.
And it is really crossing over the boundaries of a single game where you can actually find Pokemon in real life as close to as it can be found in real life as possible, and then play your game of Pokemon. It is so exciting. I think that is so much fun.
Somebody invent a time machine so I can go back 20 years and tell 12-year-old me that this is going to be the future.
I mean, this already blows my mind. I can't even tell you how much this would have slayed me as a middle schooler,
Right.
That's what you wanted when you were a kid. You just were like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this? And it's coming true. This is so cool. This is going to get me back into Pokemon.
Yeah, no, this is really cool. I don't know if this was mentioned later in it, but I'm going to bring this up now. Side note on Pokemon Go, they were announcing that there were going to be a bunch of Snorlaxes that they were releasing around this time.
Oh, yeah. I was going to mention that in passing because that one guy came on stage, John Hank from Niantic, and he didn't really say anything other than that.
I know. I just got really excited, so I wanted to mention it now.
So, moving on from that, they then introduced a video of Pokemon Sleep. And they sort of connected it with Pokemon Go in how this is going to impact and enrich daily lives just as Pokemon Go did, where it got people out and walking. Pokemon Go was brilliant in its goal to do that. Now, with Pokemon Sleep, it's going to try to encourage you to get better sleep. And they said, and I thought this was brilliant, this is really good marketing, they said it's going to get you looking forward to waking up every morning. And I thought oh yeah, because so much of us, when we wake up in the morning, these days we're using our phone as our alarm clock, and you have your phone in your hand first thing in the morning usually, and you then scroll on your Twitter or whatever the hell, and this one is going to be oh cool, I made progress in this game while I was sleeping.
No, I think it's really cool. Honestly, though, my first thought was when they were explaining it, they were showing how, you just set it on the bed next to you and it registers the vibrations of you shuffling around, and it measures if you're snoring. And I'm just I'm going to knock my phone over and it's going to get lost behind my bed. So
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see if they can actually execute this right, because in theory, it sounds great. But there are lots of sleep apps out there already, right? So this isn't treading new ground.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
So if they're using somebody else's sleep technology, then that's probably an easy win for them.
Exactly. That's the other thing. A lot of these new announcements that they've been talking about, they seem to be partnering with various people to kind of bring this out.
Yeah, each thing that they introduced, they were saying, okay, we're partnering with this person. So with this one, this is going to be developed by someone called Select Button, who developed Pokemon Magikarp Jump, and it's coming out sometime in 2020, just a general 2020 release date.
Yeah.
And they also mentioned that they are going to be working alongside Nintendo and Niantic to figure out more ways to turn resting into gameplay. And then I was like, yep, super confirmed. This is the Nintendo quality of life platform reborn patchwork through this, surely. They dismantled the quality of life platform and they're putting pieces of it into this.
Yeah.
And then moving on to what we were starting to talk about, Maruyama from Nintendo's hardware development, he comes out and he reminds everybody about the Pokemon Go Plus device that came out for Pokemon Go and the Pokeball Plus device for Pokemon Let's Go. And then he introduces the Pokemon Go Plus Plus, which is a new device.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an awful name. That is an awful, awful name.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. Do
Oh,
not
yeah,
change
for
a thing.
being
I will
stupid.
fight you
Yes,
on
it's
this.
perfect. I love stupid.
I just want to know, who's the guy who came up with that? Who was it at the office table who was like, Pokemon Go Premium? Pokemon Go Disc? Pokemon Go Plus Plus. Let's get lunch.
Yeah. That's exactly what it felt like. It felt like, oh crap, today's the deadline for figuring that out. Plus, whatever.
Somebody was sending out an email, hit the button one too many times.
And then like the guy is sitting there with his hand in his head and he's like, my superior is gonna kill me, like this is just awful, like what ideas am I bringing to the table? And then they come over to his cubicle and they're like, we love it. What else can you do? You need a promotion. Spill the tea with all of those ideas. How were you sitting on such a good idea as that? Oh man.
It's great. I love it.
I'm glad that guy who thought that he definitely was going to lose his job that day got a promotion.
Mm-hmm.
That is like the quintessential yatta moment.
I choose to believe that this is just like somebody was sending out an email and hit plus one too many times on their keyboard and just became this like running in joke throughout the office, and then it just turned into an actual thing somehow.
Yeah. And then that guy now is on his pedestal and he's like pointing at all of them like he's a JoJo villain and he's like, tricks on you.
He takes out two of the Pokemon Pokeball pluses and just goes, oh no 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 no.
I love that arcade game, man. It's a really good arcade game. I forgot what it was called. That was my introduction to JoJo so many moons ago.
Really?
Yeah. Like
Cool.
back when we had arcades still, but they were definitely dying out. They had that Pokemon Jesus. They had that JoJo's Bizarre. Hey, can we get JoJo's Bizarre Pokemon Adventure? Like where the Pokemon, God, do the Pokemons have stands or
Pokemon stands?
are the Pokemon
No,
the stands?
The stands are Pokemon.
And then like really buff macho sexual Pikachu can be the stand. And he's doing the poses. But then like the Pokemon have to be like,
yes.
the Pokemon stands have to have different names. Like Pokemon Pikachu becomes like Pikachenzo or something like that to go with like the JoJo theme.
All right. I'm calling this out right now.
What?
Statistically, with how many listeners we have to have somebody who is an artist. Please, I beg you. I will commission you if I have to. Contact me. We need to make this thing of buffed out Pokemon stands.
This is a paid gig, by the way. Okay, so let's move along because I am super hungry. I all I had was a bowl of cereal today, man. I've been busy with work. I'm a businessman. How many times do I gotta tell you what?
One bowl of cereal and you've been busy with woke.
Speaking of woke, moving on to Pokemon Masters that they introduced.
Mm-hmm.
This is the new game that's coming out in 2019. This is the developed with DNA mobile game. They said they're going to be revealing more information on that quote, next month. So are they saying that that's going to come out in the direct, or is that just coincidental that it's going to be next month, meaning June? I don't know. This is pretty exciting. It is definitely battle heavy, which is great because it kind of separates it from Pokemon Go, which has introduced sort of a battle element, but it's kind of different. This is like pure battles, and it features characters from all across the entire series, and you get rock solid Brock and rock solid abs. That ain't broke, that is woke.
I definitely do appreciate the irony of the person who's introducing you into the Pokemon world, it seems, from the cutscene is Blue.
Oh, yeah. I wish, though, that you could name him, like, whatever
that.
you named him, like, as a kid. I really hope that you can do that, because then, like, there's going to be so many people that have, like, fart or, like, butt as the name for their rival.
Hi, my name is Boner. Let me introduce you to the world of Pokemon. No.
Yeah. Or like in a lot of the old games where you could change it to, oh God, I forgot exactly what tense it was, where it would be like, I'm vomiting. So then like they would say like, well, I'm vomiting. Like, you know what I mean? Like when they would say your name.
Have you seen my grandson vomiting around here?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I think the Game Grumps, when they were playing Pokemon something, they called their character I Never. So like every single time they did something, it was like, I never used a Pokeball to catch Pikachu. I never used the
great.
ether.
That is so great.
It's cute. I like stuff like that. Anyway, Pokemon Masters. This is very interesting. We got just a couple of snippets of gameplay, and it's clearly like a 3v3 kind of situation. And you all have like a Pokemon, and then there's like a stamina meter and everything like that too. Looks like you can choose from a couple of different moves that cost different amounts of stamina. And I don't know, we're just gonna have to look forward to more information. It's coming out this year, it says, if it doesn't get delayed.
Yeah, I will be honest, I actually was a little less enthused by this when I saw it.
Tell me why you were whelmed.
So I was whelmed because of what we were talking about last week when it came to microtransactions.
Oh, yeah. This is a mobile game. It's just full of that.
Yeah, like I don't know why, but I get this sense that this is going to be exhausting when it comes to microtransactions.
Oh, sure.
I was listening to somebody who was like doing their own recap or something like this, but they related it a lot to Fire Emblem Heroes and how you would unlock all the different heroes from the generation, but there were going to be, rarer heroes compared to others. And I imagine that being kind of the same thing here.
Totally.
When they were focusing on, hey, here's these rare, get together with all the famous trainers throughout the thing.
Mm-hmm. The trainers, all the different Pokemon, they can do special versions of Pokemon. This is just going to suck people's money right out of their wallet.
I really want there to be an ultra rare trainer named Joey who has a high tier Rattata.
Explain that reference.
Really? So in Gold and Silver, because they introduced the whole cell phone thing and you can call up trainers to do rebattles and whatnot, and they would just occasionally call you. One of the first trainers who you had this interaction that it felt organic with was a youngster trainer, and he had a single Rattata.
Okay. And
his name was Joey. He would call you up even in the late game, and his comment was, oh, hey, do you want to battle? You can't take on my Rattata. My Rattata's in the top 10% of Rattatas. He would call like every single day.
I remember that gimmick being really annoying in that game.
Yeah, it was super annoying, and there was no way to like turn it off. And it, from a lot of that was one of the running jokes that me and my friends had. It was just like, hey, he's in the top 10% or top percent of Rattatas.
I have a feeling that this might not be an internet-wide joke. This might just be an in-joke between Galen and Franz.
It's got to be an internet-wide joke. I know I've seen it on the internet before.
Let us know, dear listener, if this is a joke that you partake in. Who are you, Team Oni, or are you Team Galen?
Or are you Team Rattata?
Anyway, Pokemon Masters, This is just going to be a microtransaction-filled garbage fest, which is why I don't really play mobile games. But, lots of people play this and don't spend microtransactions. Lots of people have lots of disposable income that they sure don't care about donating to charity or whatever about, and they just want to spend it on thousands and thousands on this. So, I mean, Pokemon's going to make money off of this, that's for sure. But it looks cool. It does look cool. It's a shame that it is a mobile game, because if it were just a spin-off game that were released for, I don't know, say $20, $30 on the eShop or something like that, and it was balanced properly, it might be cool.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of the mid-tier price point video game. That's why I buy a lot of indie games, because I'm not going to buy $60 games all the damn time. Like, give me $20 games. I like that.
Yeah.
And then they finalize the show by introducing Pokemon shirts. These are business shirts with original designs and are customizable and order-made, with Pokemon designs all over it. These are already out in Japan and certain areas in Asia, and they are going to be starting this service in North America and Europe and expanding to more regions around the globe. I think this is pretty cool. I don't wear business shirts. I don't like them, the collars and stuff. It's not my style, but I do know people that do wear them casually. And if you have a cool enough workplace, you could maybe wear some of this stuff. And I think that's really awesome. I like the designs on them a lot. They're very fun. I hope that they expand to non-business shirts.
This is definitely kind of a fun tidbit. From a flow standpoint, as far as like how this whole press conference kind of went, I feel like this would have been better placed around the same time they were talking about like opening up the new Pokemon Center in Singapore.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Because it would have been something that, you could have every other announcer wearing a different variation of the Pokemon shirt, and you can like kind of see the different situations that they would be used in.
Yeah, you're right. That's really, really smart.
Yeah. I feel like that was kind of a missed opportunity on that one, but that's just me overthinking the conference as a whole.
No, I think that's actually really smart, because like maybe they were wearing Pokemon shirts, but I didn't realize that by any means until the very end when he mentioned Pokemon shirts. And then I noticed that Ishihara was wearing one for sure. But maybe the other guys that came out, maybe they were, and I just didn't even notice it. Had they mentioned it way earlier in the thing, they could have been like, hey, check out his shirt too, Or even if they didn't say it, like it would have been on your mind and you would have been looking at it.
Exactly. I also liked his comment about how there's a different shirt design for every Pokemon or of the original generation.
Oh.
And I just got this mental image of there's going to be one guy out there who orders 150 shirts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Gotta stitch them all. I'm sorry, that was weak. I'm weak with hunger, okay? I can't jokester anymore right now.
He has to be excused. He's not responsible for his actions. He's only had one bowl of cereal today.
I have to eat like all of the time throughout the day, small meals. Like that's just how I operate. And when I get hungry, hangry is the absolute best way to describe me. I've always been like that my entire life.
I must have been hanging out with you a lot when you've been hungry.
Oh, you asshole. So let's move on to additional DLC. Galen, what do you have to recommend to our listeners this week?
I have a fun new one. I've got one called So This Is Basically. It's from a YouTube artist called Jelly Apocalypse, which totally dig the name. And the entire idea of this series is you pick a different video game and just do a fun parody on whatever the game is. The video I've got in the link is specifically his So This Is Basically Fire Emblem. And just all the tropes in the game and how you get this entire army of characters who are willing to leave their family and friends and throw their lives away from you, but you always go into battle with the same 10 people. But it's also really nicely animated, and you could definitely tell that there was a lot of effort that was put into it. So definitely want to recognize some good quality when I see it.
That sounds really interesting. I will definitely check that out.
Yeah, they're pretty short. Depending on the game, it's anywhere between like 4 to 6 minutes long. So they're good, short,
hey, I'm going to drink my coffee in the morning and just watch this really quick.
And so as for me, I have a recommendation. It's been on... Shut up. You don't even know what it is yet because I didn't fill it out on the docket. Galen's laughing at me because on the docket, all I wrote is X-Men, but it's because I didn't fill out my full thought.
Nothing else.
So he thinks I'm just going to recommend X-Men.
all of X-Men.
Be like, my additional DLC is video games. You should play video games. No. Anyway. You screwed me up. Jerk. I'm weak with hunger too. I made torinabe recently and I got it sitting in my fridge, some leftovers. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see what I be cooking because man, I made that and it was so good. Thinking about food. Anyway, additional DLC. This is on my mind lately because that X-Men Dark Phoenix movie is coming out fairly soon. And that looks like absolute garbage. It looks awful to me.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it so much because I can't believe that they tried to reboot the franchise and they got it a little bit better, but then it just kept going downhill and they went right back to the damn Dark Phoenix saga again. And it upsets me because it's like, really, this is where you wanted to go with this. So anyway, just burn all of those X-Men movies, in my opinion, salt the earth and start from fresh with the MCU. All new characters. Don't even include any of that crap. I don't want to see it.
Like, there's so many better story arcs than the Dark Phoenix arc. Like, give me House of M. I would be happy to have an House of M storyline. Like, that would be fantastic.
Half agree with you. The Dark Phoenix saga, though, is good. The problem is, if you're only telling a portion of the Dark Phoenix saga, you're missing like 75% of all of the important stuff about it. So here's what I'm recommending for my additional DLC. It is Comic Book Girl 19's 3-part episodes of the Epic History X-Men. This goes over the pre-Phoenix saga, the Phoenix saga, and then the Dark Phoenix saga. They're separate things. And it's why the Dark Phoenix saga is so important. This is a 3-part, 3+ hour long abridged retelling of those sagas. That is exactly why you can't boil this down into a 2.5 hour movie and just expect it to be even a sliver of how good those stories are. These episodes on YouTube are excellently produced with awesome visuals of comic panels done in like pseudo 3D. And they got a whole bunch of really good voice acting for all of the different characters that really care about the characters. And Danica, Comic Book Girl 19, is so charismatic as the narrator. It is a perfect source of information and even a reminder for people who do know these stories as to why they are so good. So do check it out. I love to put it on every now and then because it's just so good. And this is a great reason why you can't just do one movie of this, right? What upsets me is that this is ruining the public psyche of the Phoenix saga and Phoenix as a villain. Because this should be the next 4 Avengers movies kind of thing. You know what I mean? This whole trilogy of stories should be the equivalent of the most recent 4 Avengers movies in film. It's that expansive. It's that important and rich.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about my X-Men.
Alluding to like the seeds of what this should be and what this is going to be in movies where that is not the primary focus on it is not the same as giving it the due attention that it deserves.
I wanted to walk out of X-Men Apocalypse, except I was watching it at home. When at the end of the movie, the Professor X says to Jean, he says, "Let it go, Jean." And then she releases the Phoenix and then it kills Apocalypse. Spoilers for a movie that's not great. Came out years and years ago now. She is not in control of the Phoenix. The Phoenix is a cosmic entity that is totally taking on her. I was like ready to just like throw something at the screen, but it's my TV. And Sophie Turner is bad as Jean Grey.
That's why you need to go see more movies in theaters so you can actually have that satisfaction of, I'm walking out of this movie.
Oh, God. The cinema going experience, though, is just god-awful. I saw Avengers in the cinema, like, the opening week, and it was just packed with gross farting people and munching on popcorn and people clapping at a screen and
I'm sorry. I love that. I love that theater, like, especially when you get a good group of people to go with. You go see a movie with your friends. I know you were there. I would never have enjoyed Snakes on a Plane nearly as much if I did not see it with the people that I did or in the setting that I did.
Yes, that was good, and that was
'Cause
the only
that
reason that it
theater
was good.
made
And that
that
is
movie.
a very different type, though, of movie-going experience, though.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit next to a whole bunch of like farting, popcorn munching booger eaters.
You just don't like fun.
No, I don't know. I'm a big old hypocrite.
I'll excuse you because you've only had one bowl of cereal.
I'm so hungry. So moving on to our listener mail, my favorite segment. If you have an email and you want to send that to us, and we're going to try and read it because we try and read an episode every email. Wait, I screwed that up. Email every episode. And then sometimes they're like, oh, we're running long, so we can't do an email just like last episode, except this episode is already over 2 hours and we're still going to read an email. It doesn't make any sense, but shut up. Send us your email and shut up at nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com. Galen.
Did you just say send us your email and shut up?
Yes. Galen,
Perfect.
back me up. What's the email? If you want to send an email, where do you send the email?
Send us all of your shut-ups to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
Right, and it has to be pod.
Yes.
Otherwise, it doesn't get read. It goes
POD.
to a different email.
If you just bombard us with shut-up emails and they get sent to that different email, somebody's going to be very confused.
No, that's when you tweet at Mobius087. Just shut up. Okay, and if you send us an email to that email, then your email might sound a little something like this.
So, catching up on last week, Brian sends us an email. He says, "Hi guys, I have a group of gaming friends I've hung out with since junior high, and I've recently noticed some sayings or mottos that some of them have said, even since back then. My buddy Jordan always says, 'Now we're cooking with gas,' when he's doing well in video games. So, what are some of your favorite sayings that have stuck with you over the years? Love the podcast and how you guys interact." Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
So, Oni, you go first on this one.
I actually had a little trouble with this one because I don't think I have any sayings. I'm like hyper aware of the way I speak, just being a linguist. And I don't know, that's got its pros and cons for sure. I'd say like in my past, I've been negative or disingenuous sometimes when I was much younger. So I've made conscious efforts to change myself for myself and for the better. So I wouldn't say that many things have stuck around with me over the years, but one that's helped me a lot and is definitely a staple moving forward is when I talk about something I don't like or discussing something that doesn't work, like about a piece of media or something, I always say, it's not for me. It's just not for me. Not, oh, that sucks and that is bad or whatever. Or, he's dumb or anything. Like, nope, it's just not for me. And I think that media, especially as art, can't be actually good or bad in most definitions of those words. And if I don't like something or whatever, rather than criticizing or attacking it, reminding myself and getting my point across by saying it's just not for me, that has really helped. And that's something that has stuck with me for a couple of years now since I've been, making good efforts to turn a new leaf in my Animal Crossing game. And of course, like, I sound like a hypocrite, I'm sure. But sometimes, you just, for comedy or for fun's sake, you're like, oh my God, have you seen that Sonic trailer? That shit looks hideous. But like, it's not how I genuinely feel if I want to break it down and be like, how do I genuinely feel? You can't boil it down to oversimplifications like that. Sometimes you just say that because, whoa, but it's not for me. It might not be for a lot of other people too, that Sonic trailer. Galen, what do you say?
So when I was thinking about this and thinking about my own gaming group of friends and whatnot, a lot of the jokes that we would shoot back and forth weren't necessarily popular sayings. They would always have some stem of truth from like an inside joke or something like that. And some of them are like the most random. Like back when me and my friends used to play D&D, we would suddenly have a game while we were waiting for something to happen that we would roll percentile dice, and we would try to get to the number 27. And I have no idea who came up with this number. I think it's an inside joke from like a webcomic or something like that that somebody knew, and that's why it came up. But it became this running thing of every time you roll and whatever you get adds up to the number 27, you have to announce it in a loud and, exhumed attitude. And that kind of thing is like stuck to me to this day. So every time I'm just like, okay, going around, how much ammo do I have? 27. Okay, cool. And it's just random stuff like that has always stuck with me.
Well, it's a cute story.
And then there's also the ones that are kind of directed on my poor habits that I have in team-based video games. So and you've played games with me, so you know this exact same frustration.
I have played video games, yes.
When I play team-based video games, I sometimes get into a habit of going against the grind of what everybody else is doing and kind of going off to do my own thing. So a couple of years ago, we were all playing Mass Effect 3, and we were playing the online mode, the squad-based mode, and everybody was hunkered into their own area, and they were just trying to, stay together and do this thing. Well, everybody had this all covered, and I noticed that there was this other area over here that nobody had really dealt with, so I just kind of went off on my own to go and take care of that area. And then it turned around to me just pushing a little bit more forward, and next thing I know, I'm on the complete opposite side of the map, and there came a point where it's like, oh man, we really need some help. Galen, where are you? And I'm like, I'm exploring.
Yeah, Galen is a total liability in team-based gameplay. And he never learns from his mistakes.
I never, ever learn from my mistakes. But yeah, that became another saying between us. It's just like, hey, what are you doing? I'm exploring. Uh-oh. And it became the signifier that not only am I not going to be able to help you in your situation, I'm doing something completely opposite and may need help quite later because I'm probably getting myself into trouble.
So thank you again, Brian, for your email.
Yeah.
And we're all caught up on emails, so do send us something. Otherwise, we're not going to have anything for this segment next week.
Yeah.
Nintendo Everything Pod at gmail.com.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to throw out a topic for everybody, since we've been talking so much about Pokemon.
This is like our 10th topic that we've been talking about to send emails in on.
But we're definitely going to be talking about Pokemon next week with the Direct on Wednesday.
Yep.
So the question that I am posting out to you is, what is your favorite Pokemon memory that you have?
Oh, yeah, that's a
that
good
you would
one.
Want to share? Yeah. And you can send those memories to nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
So what's coming up? What's coming out on nintendoeverything.com? We have a recent review for Assassin's Creed 3 Remaster on the Nintendo Switch. That review is out now. And then coming this week, we have a review for the new Atelier game. I don't know which one it is because, my God, do those games come out so frequently. Maybe it's Atelier Lulua, maybe? I don't know. We also have some translation of Kirby anniversary messages from the director. We also have translations of an interview with Cuphead devs. Now, you might be just as confused as I was when I heard this, but Famitsu did an interview with the devs of Cuphead, who are Westerners and are probably English speakers, and then it went into Japanese, and then it's getting translated back into the English, so it's going to be some reverse importation. So stay tuned to nintendoeverything.com for all of that good exclusive content. You can also stay connected on Twitter at nineverything, and on our YouTube, youtube.com/nineverything. You can interact with me on Twitter, where I'm posting gameplay footage and screenshots of the games I'm playing this week and last week at Oni_Dino. You can also follow my Instagram, where I usually post food and food I'm cooking because I love cooking, at Oni__Dino. And then, Galen, where can people find you?
You guys can find all of my upcoming drunken karaoke ramblings at Mobius087 on Twitter.
And I totally forgot to say in the beginning of this episode about giving us a rating or whatever. But anyway,
It'll happen one of these days.
one of these days, once I care enough, like, I don't care. This has been a long, long episode, possibly our longest yet. And I just want to say, if you are here at the very end, you are such a trooper. If you seriously listen to this too in one shot, like, I understand if you break it up, you know, half-hour segments or whatever's going on in your life, but if you listen to this in one shot, you are a super mega fan. You deserve a gym badge for that. So be sure to stay tuned for the next several episodes. We're going to be talking all about Pokemon Direct, E3, my boots on the ground coverage, firsthand, being at E3, not having no sleep, all that's coming up.
With a Nintendo Direct next week, do we want to do an E3 predictions video or episode?
Oh yeah, we should. I mean, you should do some E3 predictions next episode.
Oh, fun.
So stay tuned for next episode. And for everything Nintendo,
Stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
bye bye.
Later, guys.